Countdown. Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I guess maybe the second show of the year. I did put up a stream from last night, from the previous night before, related to the New Year's, from collaboration efforts between Savvy Sabs, Chicago Corner, Heartlands Media, and KRTD Media. So. And that was that, and then it was I shared the panel with a few people up there, and that was nice, sharing the panel with Savvy Sabs and JB from JB Font Show, both Savvy Sabs and JB with Revolutionary Blackout Network, Keaton Weiss from Due Dissidence, Shane Coughlin from KRTD Media, Jimmy Sutherland from KRTD Media, and Jason Cole, who ran for a congressional seat in Washington State. And it was nice being with everybody up there to share our politics on the top 10 stories of the year. So that was great. Enjoyed. Great way to spend the last hour of the year 2022. And all of that. So before I get started, let me just say to go ahead and hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube, and hit the notification bell and subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit these notification bell, the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you're on Twitch. And go and follow me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And just kind of we'll keep in touch, and always be sure to leave a comment too when the video's up and everything. You just happen to be watching it later on. So I want to wish everybody a happy 2023, and just wanted to go and have a little chat about something that's kind of been crossing my mind a little bit, because it's a subject that people talk about, that I get a little irritated with as a subject, and it's this red state versus blue state, and which state's better to live in. I hear the Republicans say red states are a better place to live, and the Democrats are like, no, the blue states are better to live. And you hear it back and forth, and they'll both give you their reasons for why their state's better, and their state's better, and your state sucks. No, your state sucks. And you hear it from both ends, and it's just like, come on, really? Really. Here's the thing. Michigan is a blue state. Mississippi is a red state. I'm not attacking people who live in Michigan. I am not attacking people who live in Mississippi. I'm just saying it is fact that if you live in Michigan, more than likely you vote for the Democrats. I know there are people in Michigan that vote Republican, but I'm saying most of the time, Michigan votes for the Democrats. If you live in Mississippi, most of the time, that state votes for the Republicans. It's reliably Republican. There are people that vote for the Democrats in Mississippi. So, and I have a perspective that both parties are pretty damn worthless. So there is no real serious bias, although it's going to sound like I'm biased toward. I'm going to sound like I'm a blue stater, even though I'm not being really biased toward red state or blue state. What I'm stating is fact. Michigan and Mississippi both got dirty water. They got a dirty water crisis. Both states have one of the two opposite dominant parties in this country running it. Mississippi is heavily Republican. Michigan's heavily Democratic. They both can't resolve their dirty water problem. So you got California, you got Texas, and there are, I would say there are probably good points that one can make about living in Texas and California. There's a lot of negative points you can say about living in California and Texas too. And so, and I will say this: when it comes to California, everything about California, the weather's fine and everything. And it's just there's a lot of things that are pleasant, but there is kind of a politically correct subculture that's a little run amok at times. But in Texas, there's also a woke culture from the right, a politically correct subculture from the right, an authoritarianism of the right that also it plays into the culture war. So yeah, you got Governor Abbott, who's just as bad as DeSantis of Florida. You got Governor Abbott, who's horrible down in Texas, who's just as bad in his own way as Governor Gavin Newsom in down over there in California. So, and I really wouldn't want to live under either governor in many ways. That's how it is. Certain things, now certain things that I could say that's nice about Texas, and there's certain things there's many things I could say that's wrong with Texas, and same thing with California. Many good things I could say about California. Some things are wrong about California. You can find the good and bad anywhere you live in the country, and there are Republicans who vote Republican in California. There are Democrats and diehard Democrats that vote Democrat in Texas. So this whole there's not no one size fit all is what I'm trying to say. Now, why would I say both states, red states and blue states, whether we're talking about Michigan or Mississippi, whether we're talking about Texas or California, or whether we're talking about, I live in North Carolina, which in the middle of all those states, you could argue that North Carolina is a pretty moderate state compared to all those states I mentioned. It's a purplish state. It's a purplish state that leans red, but it's still a purplish state. It's kind of a purple state, kind of from what I take. And I'm going to say, whether I live in North Carolina or somebody who lives in Texas or somebody who lives in California or somebody who lives in Michigan or somebody who lives in Mississippi, we all have this in common, no matter what political tribe you belong to, on the partisan Democrat, Republican culture war divide that really is counterproductive to this American experiment. And that is this. This country, you have a fairly non-existent compared to the rest of the industrial West, the rest of the advanced Western democracies of the world. You have a labor movement in this country that is almost non-existent at this point, when you have 6% of the workforce that's unionized in the private sector, and you have maybe 5 to 6% of the workforce that's unionized in the public sector. That's not a lot in either sector. Yeah, that's not a lot. And so you're in a situation like where you see the rail workers can't even get sick leave. And the rail workers that can't even get sick leave, let alone this country having something like universal health care or anything of that nature. The saying why we can't have nice things. And the problem with this country is that we can't have nice things because we can't have nice things because everybody's at each other's throats over stupidity, just sheer stupidity from all sides all the time. And we can't get anything done, and we can't, and we're being constantly divided. And both Democrats and Republicans, they receive, they get the same donors give to both parties. It's pretty safe to give to both parties. And the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is how quick that the knee can drop. And that's what it comes down to. And nothing could get done that needs to get done effectively these days. And it's a crying shame. And everything is a fucking culture war. Everything is a culture war. You can't have an incident happen, whether it's a tornado or hurricane or a shooting or a terrorist attack or whatever kind of catastrophe there is. Somebody's got to make a freaking culture war out of this, and it's really tiresome. And I don't want anything bad to happen, but whenever something bad happens, next time something bad happens, why can't we all say we're all Americans and just try to resolve this for the better without finger pointing? But you get talking heads that want, and you get talk radio, and you get loud activists from both sides that don't give a damn about the average American's pocketbook. All they care about is a narrative, owning the other side. Here's my opportunity to vilify and own the other side and say the other side's a piece of shit. And that's what it comes down to. Red states, blue states, neither of y'all got anything to brag about. You got nothing to brag about until you do something to make the workforce have more money to bring home, and that can only be done by having more powerful unions, expanding unions in this country, and that means in both states. That means throughout all 50 states, making sure that whenever you get sick, whether you have a cold or whether you have COVID or whether you have cancer, that you can go to a doctor or you can go and seek medical treatment, and it will cost you next to nothing to go to a doctor, to go get hospitalization, a surgical procedure, or when you go to get prescriptions, that'll cost you zero or at least no more than a couple of bucks. That would be a great way to make your blue state or red state better. Or when you graduate high school and you can go to a trade school or go to a college, a university, and it costs you next to nothing to go and to learn, because an educated public is a well-paid public. This sort of thing. When you have the average worker, whether they're a blue collar or a white collar worker, that they can have a situation where they're guaranteed a pension when they retire, no matter what state they live in, whether they live in Alabama or whether they live in the Pacific Northwest. That when you go and you work 25, 30, 35 years, however long you want to work for a company, you work for that one company, because we don't outsource anymore and send it over to another country because the wages are cheaper in another country. You keep the plants, you keep the operations here on this country and within these borders. Nothing against the people in other countries. You want their lives to improve too, and it should be our duty to make sure that their lives improve. Not have financial institutions around the world impose austerity measures in developing countries. Lift their standard of living up to ours, not have our standard of living lower to theirs. So you work 25, 30 years for a company, you have a comfortable retirement. You end up with 5 or 6 weeks paid vacation each year. You make enough to support your family, to pay your bills, and to save and still have a little bit of money to a little bit of mad spending money to spend for your enjoyment. I don't think these things are too much to ask. These things are not too much to ask. And when companies are either too big to fail, or whether certain aspects of the private sector are too harmful to the public, but its function is necessary for society to keep going, but the profitability of that particular industry is based, it's continuous, it's based on profit where it hurts people, maybe we can nationalize those industries. And some people call it socialism. I call it common sense. But that's how we can move on. So, pardon my language, but, fuck the blue states and fuck the red states. I mean, we're all Americans, and fuck this culture war bullshit. We're all Americans, no matter what color we are, no matter how we worship or do not worship, no matter what sexual orientation you are, no matter what walks of life, no matter what ethnicity, no matter whatever your circumstances in life is, whatever it is in your life that makes us all different, that we're all Americans. And I'm speaking as somebody who's not particularly patriotic, because honestly, it's hard to be patriotic. It's hard to love a country that when you have a government that doesn't love its people back. Now, we'd love to love this country, but I know that will turn some people off. But you have to understand my perspective. I'm 53 years old. I'm going to be 54 in a few months, and I've seen all my life. I have seen all my life what's happened in this country regarding just people getting screwed nonstop. Any issue is always the profitability of a company first over the lives of people. Is corporate lives first and people's lives second or third or fourth or fifth down the list. And that's par for the course. So in relation to blue and red states, you also get this kind of silliness added to it is the paradigm. And some people tried to use these paradigms to try to clear things up. And there are acceptable paradigms and unacceptable paradigms that are used. And so I guess we'll just start illustrating what's wrong with this blue red state divide and the paradigms that are used by partisans. And I'm going to speak on behalf of my particular side against the side I disagree with the most. So we'll do just that. So let me do this here. Where am I? Okay. Now you take a look at this paradigm here, and this is the one that really irritates me, and I get this a whole lot of times from a lot of people on the right. I'm not saying everybody on the right is horrible. I'm just saying this is the one I get from the right all the time. This in a form of a lecture, and they're so damn wrong, and they ought to flunk a basic political science course with this kind of ignorance here. As you can see, the A on the right stands for anarchism, and because their idea is focused on what they believe is liberty. Anarchism to them is ultra liberty in their eyes, but they think that's a little bit too far and does a little bit too much. So they can't quite go there, but they call that the extreme right. And then the next stage is libertarianism. But usually a lot of the people that would use this libertarian argument are not really libertarians. I'm okay with libertarians for the most part. I have some basic disagreements with libertarians on economics, and there are some libertarians that I can't deal with and I say this about people on the ultra left too. I have had people on the ultra left I can't deal with individually. So we're talking about individuals here. But with regard to libertarian, we're going to go with what's positive about libertarianism, why it doesn't make any sense to really put them in the right category. because some of the people who claim this is not everybody. There are people like Michelle Bachmann, or that was in the Freedom Caucus a decade ago, and someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's in the Freedom Caucus today, that's supposedly libertarian on paper in Congress, but there's nothing even remotely libertarian about a member of Congress who's anti-LGBTQ, somebody who's anti-secularism, and somebody who wants to basically impose Christian nationalism on the American people. That goes against everything that is considered libertarian. So it's kind of disingenuous in that regard. The Republicans, Democrats, I guess you can call it the center. The socialism thing, and when they put the socialism symbol here, Socialist Party of America, which they really mean socialism and communism, whoever decide this particular paradigm. But they're only correct that the socialists are to the left of the Democrats, but it's disingenuous to put the socialist symbol beside the swastika. That is actually very that it's meant to say that the further left you go, you end up believing in all the same thing, that the fascists and the communists and the socialists are all one and the same, and it's truly insulting. And this is a lot of the red state logic that I have to deal with from quite a few on the right over the years, and I frankly frankly pull my pants down and take a shit on such a paradigm. It is inaccurate, and it's not, it's just not the paradigm that I go with, not at all. I just don't agree with that paradigm. So, and then here's the other paradigm here. The paradigm that I blah 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 blah. Okay, here we go. All right, this paradigm here is the left versus right political spectrum, and you have it's probably fairly. I think it's probably the closest thing to being accurate. But there are some things about it that I would. Let's take a look at it. It's somewhat accurate. Some nuances I would change, but I would say is probably as accurate as a political spectrum as you could find, with the Democrats and Republicans representing the political center. Liberalism, social liberalism, Christian democracy, liberal conservatism, that sort of thing. And then you get to social democracy, progressivism, conservative economic liberalism, libertarianism on the right. And then you get to communism, and then you get to nationalism and fascism on the far right versus communism and anarchism on the far left. There might be some truth to this particular paradigm, but there's still a lot of nuance that one can be said. The one that I tend to like the most would be this one, and that would be the paradigm with what I would call the quadrant, and which has the 4 colors. And I like this one because I think it's the most fair one, because you have the green and purple, the blue and pink, and the green and purple represents the libertarian left and libertarian right. I usually am I'm always on the green corner. Yeah, and then you got the libertarian right, and then on the top you have the blue and pink quadrants. On the blue right, you have the authoritarian right, and then on the pink left, you have the authoritarian left. So that's how one would interpret that these particular quadrants. And as I said, I am like virtually all the time scoring the green quadrant. I don't think I've ever been on any other quadrant other than that. Not that I'm trying to be or what have you. It's just naturally where I am. I am libertarian left on social issues. I may be kind of statist when it comes to the economics. I do admit that, but that's just, you know, I am a socialist after all. But I am a civil libertarian, so there is that. And I know I'm getting a little long-winded, but it's kind of connected to everything I've been talking about with regard to red state versus blue states. It's just kind of, I just made a little bit of a connection there. So you know, just I just wanted to kind of clear certain things up today in that regard, and all. So right now we have on the chat line here, we have Catherine and McCloskey. Happy New Year. Happy New Year right back at you. And I hope you're doing well. I hope everything went well with your New Year's. I had a headache today, but that's why I didn't stream earlier. But I feel a little bit better now. Went out to dinner and it kind of cleared my head. But all is well and everything. So anyhow, I just wanted to kind of clarify certain things. So what else I was going to say? I guess that's going to be pretty much it. I may do another stream in a few moments. I have quite a bit to say right now, so let me just say this, that I wish everybody once again a happy new year, and I hope that 2023, we'll see what happens with 2023. Well, let's hope that 2023 is going to be a hell of a lot better than 2022, and I wish everybody you know, a happy new year, and you know, wish everybody prosperity. You know, even people that I despise politically, I wish them prosperity. And y'all know my solution to prosperity for people, so that's what's going to have to take. So because when we all do better, we all do better, and when we all do better, you know, you go have less strifes and less resentment, less, you know, hatred around and all that. So what else I'm going to say? Yeah. So if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, comment anyway. We will have a conversation. We're all grown-ups here. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. And remember to always reject corporate media, because corporate media has absolutely nothing at all to offer us, not a damn thing. And remember to go ahead and subscribe to this channel here on YouTube, and subscribe to my channel on Twitch, and follow me on Twitter, and follow me on Facebook. And always get a second opinion. Always get a 20-second opinion, if possible. Until next time, I'm Willie Bragg, wishing you all a good night. So let me wish you all a good night.